Kingsman, The Golden Circle is the second film in the Kingsman franchise. Like many others, I was a fan of the first one because of its unique style, especially when it came down to Colin Firth's role in the film, just because he's normally the weird, shy British guy in most films, and this one he's this epic action star. It made the entire film feel special in a way, but also really exciting, and I wanted to see something similar this time around. Now, there will be some spoilers regarding this film in this review, but most of those can be seen in the actual trailers. So if you haven't seen the movie but have seen the trailers, then this won't be anything shocking. But if you have not seen the movie and you have not seen the trailers, then look away now. Otherwise, you're probably fine. In the first film, Colin Firth's character, but in this film, you learn that he's actually alive, but not so well because he's got retrograde amnesia, but they need his help because of this Golden Circle, which is a drug trade creating a problem for millions of people. I don't want to give too much away. It's very similar to a Bond villain when it came down to the ridiculousness of the whole scheme of things. It's very James Bond-like. First off, we're looking at the people category. As far as acting's considered, I don't think everybody did the best job when it came down to acting, but with action films like this, specifically with fight sequences, I kind of take that into consideration, how these actors are portraying their roles. And because this is such a unique style as far as action sequences, fight scenes, and things like that, it feels fresh, modern, and it's always fun to watch. 2 out of 2 possible stars for that. Characters. Much like the first one, I did like the characters. I might have even liked the characters more this time around just because of Elton John. Elton John's role in this movie was hilarious. Julianne Moore was okay, not the best, but not the worst either. Everybody in the movie as a whole did a really good job of being diverse and memorable for each and every character. 2 out of 2 possible stars. Casting. Julianne Moore and Channing Tatum could have probably been played by anybody, but the rest of the characters were cast really well. 2 out of 2 possible stars. How about importance? Everybody in the movie had an important part to play that added to the plot of the film. Some of it you already knew from the get-go, some of it's twists and turns that you learned throughout the film, and Elton John even. Important role in the film. So I have to say 2 out of 2 possible stars. Chemistry. Probably not as much as I did in the first film. Colin Firth's character and Eggsy specifically have good chemistry, but because Colin Firth wasn't himself in the film, that wasn't really there this time. Instead, Eggsy was hanging around with Merlin, played by Mark Strong, and their chemistry specifically was just okay, wasn't amazing or anything. And chemistry gets 1 out of 2 possible stars. People category gets 9 out of 10 possible stars. Good start. Onto the writing score. As far as the dialogue's considered, I don't think there was anything really that stuck out as far as memorable speeches or dialogue or quotes or anything like that. Pretty much everything that Elton John said was perfect. I wouldn't really say anybody else had the greatest, so I'll just say it's typical 1 out of 2 possible stars. The balance of the story. I think for the most part, the balance of the story was okay, but not perfect. The plot had to do with the Golden Ring, yes, and they're always after the Golden Ring, what's going on there. But because they had so much focus on Colin Firth's character and his character development, or character development rather, kind of split the movie here and there, so 1 out of 2 possible stars. How about the story itself? Spy movie, not really super deep or meaningful as far as story goes. 1 out of 2 possible stars. Originality. Like I said in the beginning of this review, it is a very original and unique styled film that is just fun to watch because of how it's made and how it's done. And so I was like 2 out of 2 possible stars. Is it interesting? I was really interested to see this because of the first film. However, the things that made the first movie unique were sometimes missing in this film. It's hard not to say that I did lose some interest because of that. So I kind of have to say 1 out of 2 possible stars there. Writing category gets 6 out of 10 possible stars. BTS, behind the scenes. When it comes down to the visuals, that's part of what makes this film so unique. There's a lot of great things to be said about the visuals and how the movie looks as a whole, how they operate the camera. So as far as visuals goes, I would probably say 2 out of 2 possible stars. Directing. There were some things I had a problem with as far as storytelling goes in this film that made me think that it could have easily been done better. Directing, I gave 1 out of 2 possible stars. Editing. This mostly has to do with the action. There's a lot of great looking sequences in this film that couldn't have really been done without supreme editing skills. That's what we get here, so 2 out of 2 possible stars for editing. Advertisement. It was as advertised, no false advertisement here. 2 out of 2 possible stars. Music. For the most part, the music in it is just there to make sure that the theme feels right for the film. Other than that, nothing sticks out. I don't really care to hear a soundtrack, so 1 out of 2 possible stars. BTS gets 8 out of 10 possible stars. Narrative arc. As far as the introduction goes, I had one complaint, and that is it relied pretty heavily in some parts of the introduction on knowledge of the first film. And while I did see the film 2 years ago with everybody else, I haven't seen it since. Some things were blank in my memory as to what happened, and since they were talking as if it was all common knowledge in the introduction, I was confused. I'm like, who was this guy now? Was he in the first one? And that's how they chose to introduce the plot. I was a little bit confused, so that disappointed me a little bit. Introduction gets 1 out of 2 possible stars. Inciting incident had to do with a lot of, let's just say, explosions and bombings and things like that. Push things into motion, so I'll say 2 out of 2 possible stars there. Obstacles, it's an action film, it's a spy film. What do you think? 2 out of 2 possible stars. Climax is a good culmination of everything put together, a good sum of everything, so 2 out of 2 possible stars there. Falling action, I would say it calms down a little bit, so as far as that goes, 1 out of 2 possible stars. The narrative arc score gets 8 out of 10 possible stars. Entertainment, how entertained was I while watching Kingsman, The Golden Circle? I was decently entertained with the action sequences, as I'm sure many other people would be while watching, but I was a little underwhelmed when it came down to the story and when it came down to adding anything new. I wouldn't mind watching it again, but I have to say it's clearly more rewatchable to watch the first one than the second one. 1 out of 2 possible stars. How fun is it? Of course it's fun. That's one of the great things about this film. It is fun from beginning to end, regardless of how great or bad the story is. It is definitely fun. So 2 out of 2 possible stars. Any impulse to buy it? No, I don't really care to buy it. I don't really care to own it. 0 out of 2 possible stars. Do I have an impulse to talk about it other than this review? I don't think so. 0 out of 2 possible stars. Does it suck the audience in? During the action sequences, I think anybody can get sucked into this film. Die-hard fans will probably be sucked in throughout the film, but in general, I don't think so. I think some people will only be sucked into the action and not care about anything else, so 1 out of 2 possible stars. That gives the entertainment score 4 out of 10 possible stars. Specialty category. As this is a sequel to the first Kingsman film, I wanted to know 2 things. Franchise, does it feel like it fits as a Kingsman film? And sequel, does it add anything new for what's going on? Alright, so as far as franchise goes, I will say, yes, it feels like it fits in. It feels like 2 years has gone by so quick, it's like it just... That gets 10 out of 10 possible stars. Sequel, on the other hand, I don't feel like it really added anything new. You have The Statesman. Then again, The Statesman's just the American version of the Kingsman, so it's really the same thing. Golden Circle is just another villain. I don't really feel like they added much to the story that wasn't there before. So I'll have to give that only 5 out of 10 possible stars. I expect action when I see one of these movies, and action is definitely there. 10 out of 10 possible stars. I also expect a good amount of comedy, and as usual, there's some great comedic moments in there. Thank you, Elton John. 10 out of 10 possible stars. Finally, is it halfway decent? And I can't really ignore the fact that, yeah, it's pretty good. I would say it's halfway decent. 10 out of 10 possible stars for halfway decent. If we add all that together, we get 80 possible stars out of 100, 80% on the dot. So it's a decent movie. I wouldn't say it's as good as the first movie, but, you know, it's a decent film in general. So I would say go check it out if you haven't seen it already. Other than that, guys, follow me on Twitter and Trekt.tv at username IAMDWG. That's IMDWG for those sites, and for YouTube, subscribe to me and like this video and click the little bell to be notified when I post my next movie review. Until then, guys, peace out.